What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to the show. Today's guest is Tricia Nelson. She lost 50 pounds by identifying and healing the underlying causes of her emotional eating. Tricia has spent over 30 years researching the hidden causes of the addictive personality. Tricia is the emotional eating expert and the author of the #1 best-selling book, Heal Your Hunger: 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. She also certifies health coaches so that they too can get better results, referrals, and revenue by helping their clients overcome emotional eating. Tricia is the host of the popular podcast, The Heal Your Hunger Show. She is a well-respected speaker and has been featured on numerous media outlets such as NBC, CBS, KTLA, Fox, and Discovery Health. Welcome to the show, Tricia. I am so honored to have you here today.
Thanks, Jennifer. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to dive right in. I would love for you to share your incredible transformational journey through healing and discovering emotional eating and how that affected your life.
Yes, I'm happy to share. It goes way back. So I started, I think, as an emotional eater from the get-go. I loved food. I loved to cook. I loved to eat. I loved to go out to restaurants, serve it to other people. I just love food. And it wouldn't have been a problem, except that I gained weight really easily. So by age 21, I was 50 pounds overweight, and I was not happy about it. I was very unhappy with it. I had a roll in my tummy that I would scrunch up in my hands and imagine cutting off, like you cut fat off the side of a steak. And I thought about getting some crazy disease where I'd automatically lose weight without having to diet. And I even considered joining the army where I'd automatically lose weight, like at boot camp, because I hated exercise on my own. So, kind of some outlandish ideas about how to lose weight. Simply because I was out of control, Jennifer. I went on diets, of course. That's what you do when you don't like the weight you're at. You're like, okay, I'll eat less, exercise more. You go on diets. But I could last for about 2 weeks, and then it would get really hard. And I'd be like, this is miserable. I miss my food. And I'd imagine eating things, and I thought that would just get me by, but I imagined it enough that I just did it, so I would go back to eating, and then I'd binge again, and then I'd be like, screw it, and back on the roller coaster ride. So, my weight definitely yo-yoed as well. So like I'd lose 30, gain 20, lose 10, so that's how it went for me. Yeah. So it was pretty miserable. And because I tried so many diets, I felt hopeless. I felt like, oh, I'm a hopeless case, and I even did things like 12-step programs and therapy and eating disorders therapist. I went to twice a week for a year. So it's not like I wasn't really digging in and trying to get help, but nothing I tried worked for any amount of time long-term. So eventually I was at my wit's end, and I was blessed to meet somebody who became my mentor, and he had been obese and lost over 100 pounds and really was able to show me a different approach, which was weight loss from the inside out and really addressing and healing the underlying causes of emotional eating. So there's that word again, and that came back. And it made so much sense to me. At first, I thought, oh, I just like food, so that doesn't apply to me. but you can't unhear it. Like that's why I like doing podcast interviews, because once you hear the information, it's hard to forget it, And what happened for me is I started to observe my behaviors around food. And like I'd go out to lunch with friends and they'd order a sandwich and it would come with fries, and they'd eat their sandwich and pick up their fries. But I would eat my fries and pick up my sandwich. I'm like, how could anyone leave a French fry on their plate? I'd even eat the burned ones, So I thought, there's something a little different about my relationship with food. Like it's definitely more connected, more dependent on an emotional level with food. So no question, it was me. It just took me a little while to own up to it. Once I did, and once I had a pathway for healing and it worked for me, I started sharing it with other people. And I've done that my whole adult life. Actually, it's been my whole life, is helping emotional eaters. And 5 years ago, I founded Heal Your Hunger and started helping people online through group programs so they could follow the same path I followed. And I still follow to this day. So I've very much practiced what I preach. And it's just such a pleasure to see people's relationship with food, with their bodies transform on account of it.
That's an incredible story. So did you ever come to the point when you're diving in and you're really going deep to discern where it all started and where it came from?
Absolutely. I mean, I had to. That was the whole deal, is I had to get off the diet track. 98% of all diets fail. And so there's no way, just focusing on the food plan or the exercise plan was going to get me where I needed to go. So I had to dig in and look at what the underlying causes were. Now, I find that a lot of people think it's just one thing, like, oh yeah, like my dad was an alcoholic, or I was sexually abused, or some trauma. They pinpoint one thing. This is where it all started. But I find that it's not that easy, not that that's easy, but I just mean it's not one thing, because what happens is when we're children, definitely trauma plays a big role. And I find that most emotional eaters have had trauma in their lives. I mean, we all basically have had trauma of some kind. What happens as a kid is you have very few coping mechanisms at your fingertips, and food is one of them. So food, and then personality traits that just help you survive your childhood. So, and I didn't have a bad childhood, but I definitely had sexual abuse, which is a very typical reason why people start packing on pounds, because it feels like you're protecting your body, you're protecting yourself from other people, even though it's kind of an illusion. You might protect yourself from other people, but you also trap yourself in. But the point is, you develop kind of different personality traits. And I refer to this as the anatomy of the emotional eater, which I write about in my book. And it's 24 personality traits that make up the emotional eaters. And I find that these traits developed when we had trauma as kids, and we had to just kind of morph. We had to morph our personality to get by with whatever was going on, whatever, dysfunction there was in our family. We change our personality. And what happens is we don't grow up with a strong sense of ourselves. And so the number one personality I find in emotional eaters is people pleasing. And so very typically, because we didn't get a strong sense of ourselves, like rock solid self-esteem, we get our self-esteem from outside of ourselves. And we try to get the atta girls, do good at work, take on the extra projects, be the perfect soccer mom, stay up late, making the brownies for the team, whatever it is, do our kids' homework. These things, they give us a sense of purpose, a sense of ourselves, but it's fleeting. It's not from within, it's from outside. So we have to keep doing it. But the problem is we also get resentful because we overdo. It's very typical for overeaters to be overdoers. We're always helping, always caretaking. And this is very much part of the personality of the emotional eater, as is resentment, because we're stuffing things down with food. We're stuffing our emotions. So we knock ourselves out trying to get the accolades from other people, the validation, but then we're resentful. And this is part of what fuels our eating. Not always, but definitely this is something I see over and over. And sharing all this is, it's more of a living problem than it is an eating problem. And we're always so busy looking at the eating problem, at the symptom of food and weight, but this is why diets fail, because at first you're doing the diet, but it gets hard because we don't do anything about the living problem. We just take away our main way of coping, right? So we cope using food. You take that away, the excess food, the ooey gooey chewy foods, the fun foods, you take all that away. And it's like, how am I going to get by? How am I going to deal with the stress, with the anger, with the resentment, with the uncomfortable feelings? And diets don't give us those alternative coping tools. And that's why we go back to the food, because it's what we know, it's what's comfortable, and it's what works.
Right. And in your book, you had even mentioned at one point that when you do try to take away the food, that then you're turning to something else. And will you talk about that? What I loved about reading your book, and we talked about this off air, is that this covers so much more and is so much deeper, I feel, than just emotional eating, which is huge in itself. And it was very interesting because you think, well, I'm not an emotional eater. And then you start to read this and you go, but yet maybe I am. And so
yes.
I'd love for you, to chat about when we're on a diet or transforming into this lifestyle, how we start to turn to other things that people may not recognize.
Yeah. And because the real theme is, I don't want to be present in my feelings. And because my childhood I had a lot of uncomfortable feelings. And again, it wasn't a bad childhood at all. I'm grateful to my parents for the amazing life that I was given. But at the same time, there were tough feelings that I didn't know how to deal with. And I think on a subconscious level, I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I am not going to be present for this. It's too painful. I don't know what to do with it. So I'm going to stuff it with food. But it's true that it's not just eating. For me, if it was worth doing, it was worth overdoing. So it's like shopping. I do too much shopping. Or when I drank alcohol, I would go overboard. And it's like we're sort of relief-seeking missiles, like we're looking for ways to just medicate our feelings. Nowadays, pot gummy bears or whatever. It's like there's so many things that we can just order online to take the edge off. And that's not a sustainable way of living, because all we're doing is constantly running from ourselves. We're constantly trying to mitigate our feelings. And we never get that grit that comes from dealing with things that are uncomfortable. Now, I find it hard to just turn around and do about face and deal with stuff. So I didn't know how to do that. I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn what my feelings were. I needed to eat in such a way that I even had feelings, because I just grazed through the day and I didn't feel a thing, except gross, because I was always feeling too full, and mad at myself for overeating. But yeah, when we're numbing out, we're missing opportunities to experience life to its fullest, and also to grow in really important ways that makes us just more capable of dealing with problems and situations and relationships and everything that life has to give us, which can create joy as well when we build those kind of coping muscles.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I completely agree with you. In your book, you wrote a really beautiful statement. You wrote, "The subconscious mind can be changed only by means of the heart." Will you share what that means to you? Are you ready to lose inches, increase strength, and tone your body from head to toe? Are you ready for a total body, mind, and spirit transformation? I am excited to announce that I am launching my exclusive 8-week Pilates Return to Life training program. This will give you an opportunity to have a total body, mind, and spirit transformation of health and wellness to a new lifestyle. Imagine in 7 days you will feel a difference, in 14 days you will see a difference, and in 8 weeks you will have your new Pilates body. So what do you say? Want to join me on the mat? Head over to jenniferpilates.com today. Space is limited. Use this special promo code EW and the word special, EW special, to receive $200 off while space is available. Head on over to jenniferpilates.com and I'll see you on the mat.
Absolutely. I went to therapy, as I mentioned, to try to heal my eating problem, but I was in my head. So I would talk about situations. I talk about sexual abuse. I was very intellectual about it, but I kept the pain locked away in my heart. So I could talk a good game, but I wasn't really releasing the pain of it because that was scary to me. Like I liked to sound, it kind of fed my ego to sound like I really was super honest and like I really had a handle on things, and this deep understanding of myself. But where I lived in my heart, I was very afraid of being out of control and having feelings that, I used to feel that if I were to open up this can of worms, I could never close it. Pandora's box. If I looked inside that box, it would never shut again. If I allowed myself to go there, I felt like I'd be locked up. Like I thought, and it was sort of subconscious. I didn't consciously think this, but I did looking back. I felt like, wow, I have to stay so far away from that stuff because if I ever just even touched on it, it would overtake me. And the truth is that, first of all, that's not true. And I did need safety. I need safe people in order to do that with. But just the opposite is true. Like if I stop and face the things I'm running from, they will lose their power. Like they will no longer own me and direct my actions, which is exactly what they were doing. So, my heart is where the answers lie. And also as emotional eaters, we tend to not listen to what's inside of us because we're full from eating or obsessed. Maybe we're under eating, but we're obsessed with food, obsessed with weight, which is a distraction from our feelings as well. And the thing is that I was afraid to be me. I was afraid to even know me and be with my feelings. And so food just kept me numbed out from that. Food and a food obsession kept me numbed out from that. But only by facing myself was I able to just come back to myself, feel in control of my life, feel like, wow, I'm okay. Like I'm okay. And life isn't as scary as I thought it was.
Wow. It's such a beautiful statement and such a great way to explain that. And you touched on something that's very interesting. And I'd love for you to expand on that a little bit. Emotional eating just isn't about someone eating and being overweight.
Yes. My experience is, I use the words emotional eating because I think it's most apt for basically an umbrella term for all different kinds of disordered eating. We have anorexia, we have bulimia, we have binge eating. We have all kinds of exercise bulimia, orthorexia. There's so many different kinds of disordered eating. I was a binge eater, so I would get massive amounts of food and sit in front of the TV and gorge myself and then hate myself. I didn't do a lot of under eating. I tried once in a while, but then I'd break out in a binge. So we've all got our ways, but I find that they all fall under the category of emotional eating because even if we're under eating and restricting, it's for the purpose of mitigating our feelings of not feeling or trying to control something that's out of control. If it weren't out of control, I wouldn't be trying to control it. Okay. And the fact is the obsession with food, the obsession with how much I weigh, the obsession with, my thighs or my tummy, that distracts me from my feelings. That's emotionally driven as well. So it all to me goes under the kind of umbrella term of emotional eating because it's my emotions and fear of my emotions that's driving it.
That makes sense. What if it was possible to have local fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store again. So explain, what is the difference between when someone is emotionally eating versus them eating because they think they're hungry or they are hungry?
Yeah, of course we have to eat and we deserve to enjoy our food. So we, definitely it's a good thing. Eating is a good thing. I don't vilify eating. But the thing is, oftentimes I would eat beyond my nutritional need. We all need to eat. We all need a certain amount of calories each day because we're just naturally burning those calories. Or if we're exercising, we might need more, food, obviously. But eating beyond what my body needs is what I was doing when I was emotionally eating. I was eating because I didn't want to feel. I was eating because I was feeling angry or feeling upset or feeling lonely. So I was using food for emotional reasons, and that's really what we're talking about here. My hunger that was emotional had nothing to do with how much I'd eaten or what nutrients I needed. It was that food gave me a sense of comfort, and it worked, and this is why I would eat. The things I was obsessed with eating were like carbs and sugar and fat, my favorite 3 food groups, by the way, and so because they would deaden my feelings. I wasn't binging on salad because that's watery and light, and it didn't deaden my feelings. So I'll give you my little PEP test. As some people are like, I don't know if I'm an emotional eater. PEP is an acronym, and it's a good way to start identifying kind of the connection between our eating and our emotions. So I eat heavy foods for 3 reasons. The first P in PEP stands for painkiller. It would deaden my pain. Okay. If I was upset and I ate food, carby rich foods, I wouldn't feel as upset. I'd feel nothing. Okay. So it would kill my pain. And we all have emotional pain. It's like, it's hard to live in life and not have things come up that are painful. A death in the family, a sickness, social awkwardness, a relationship that needed to end 5 years ago, a job that no longer fits us. Life brings us opportunities to feel pain, but I didn't like feeling pain. So I'd kill it with carbs. The E in PEP stands for escape. And I would check out when I would binge and sit in front of the TV. It's like the stress of the day, my worries and fears, I just wanted to leave them alone. I wanted them to leave me alone. And so I binged, and it was just sort of like take me out of my reality. And honestly, there was no more time in the world that we were doing this than the pandemic when it started. I mean, we're all like, oh my God, my whole life is upended. I can't leave my house. I got all this food in my house, and this totally sucks. I don't know where we're going with this. What's happening? People are dying. So we all were checking out, I mean, people typically were doing this. And I had friends calling me saying, Tricia, I didn't think I was an emotional eater, but I am. Like, this is like serious. And so people are recognizing more than ever, I think, what emotional eating is. So it's a great form of escape. It doesn't last very long because you have to come to at some point. The last P in the PEP acronym is punishment, which seems counterintuitive because yummy foods are typically a reward. But the way I ate, when I'd go overboard and I'd have crumbs down my sweater and I'd feel gross and I'd cancel, a lunch date with friends the next day because I was bloated and just wanted to stay in bed, that is no reward. Like, I was hurting myself. I was abusing my body. I was getting gut issues because of the way I was eating. So it begs the question, like, what is going on? And I find that overeaters tend to be overthinkers and overfeelers. So we beat ourselves up. We feel guilty about everything. And that drives our eating as well. And so just to review, the PEP acronym stands for painkiller, escape, and punishment. So this is just, I tell people, take the little PEP test. Like, if you're going to the refrigerator like 5 times, go like, wait, is there something going on that I want to numb from? Am I looking to check out from a situation that is just unbearable for me to think about? Or am I really pissed that I didn't speak up or that I said something obnoxious, and do I need to take care of it? Because I'm basically punishing myself right now. And that's just a good way to start making the connection between your eating and your emotions.
Right. And I think that's great because that goes for food, that goes for drinking, that, like you said, that
100%.
It really covers all. And definitely during the pandemic, I was eating things I never ate before. Right. And that's when you and I actually had first met. And I thought, oh my God, this is so wonderful. I think I have an issue here with some M&Ms. And I mean, literally it was out of control.
Yeah.
And I have since curtailed that. So you also have what you call the 7 C's of healing.
Yep. My book is called Heal Your Hunger, 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. And the 7 C's are the 7 steps. And this is what I did to heal. And it wasn't until I founded Heal Your Hunger and wrote my book that I really codified it into 7 steps. And these are so vitally important in my experience, and also really good news, because I find that most conventional wisdom around emotional eating is a little light and not very substantive. Like people will say, oh, just eat in moderation, just moderate your sweets. Well, that doesn't work if you're an out of control binge eater like me. I start eating sweets and then I don't stop. I eat M&Ms. I'm eating the whole damn bag. So it's not useful information in the long run. Intuitive eating, I would intuit that I should eat many more times than I really should have. So, my mind would play tricks on me and convince me and rationalize my eating. So again, a good concept and theory maybe works for somebody who's not as much of an emotional eater as I was, but I couldn't do it, and so these are things, mindful eating. I ate to not be mindful. I ate to check out. These are things that people suggest that if you're an out of control eater or if you're totally obsessed 24/7, it's not going to cut the mustard. So basically I codified what I did to heal, and I provide that for people so they have actionable, real steps they can take. So it's not nebulous information that you really don't doesn't really help you in your day-to-day life. And it just, my clients, I know exactly what to do to heal. And if they do it, it works. If they fall off and stop doing it, they know exactly why. We do a little evaluation of what'd you stop doing? And then they can get back on track. So it's just very actionable, very practical steps people can take.
Right. And it's really great because, again, it's about a lifestyle. It's not about dieting. It's not about controlling. It's about taking on your life and being empowered by your life.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What are 3 things or a few things that you would recommend to people who, now that they've been listening, go, I think I might be an emotional eater. Where should I start? What should I do?
Yeah, I have a quiz on my website. My website is healyourhunger.com, HEAL, healyourhunger.com. And it's a free quiz. And I recommend people start there, take the quiz, find out where you are on the spectrum. Because I find that emotional eating is a spectrum. I think we're all emotional eaters to some degree, but some people don't take it as far as being food addicted, which I was. So the high end of the spectrum is food addiction. The low end of the spectrum is emotional eating. And you find out where you are on that spectrum. You get a personalized score and then steps you can take after that. So I think that's a great place to start. Of course, subscribing to my Heal Your Hunger show, the podcast, is helpful. I do offer on my website 2 emotional eating breakthrough sessions, which are complimentary. If somebody wants to talk with one of my coaches, they can do that as well. And it's just good. It's good to find out and really to learn kind of what to do, to heal.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So we are coming to that time in the show, Tricia, where I ask that one question. What is one thing that no one knows about Tricia?
Oh my goodness. I would say, what's one thing? Nobody knows?
Almost no one knows.
I'm an open book. So I'm how could somebody not know something about me? So what is something nobody knows? Let's take, most people don't know, this is that, my family members know this, but I had a dog named Wiggy as a kid that pretty much saved my life. Because I was in so much emotional pain, my dog helped me get by in my life. He was my companion. He went on bike rides with me. He was always there. Nobody else was in the house. He was there. And I credit him with saving me during my childhood.
Oh, that is such a sweet story to share. Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. And I'm sure a lot of people, you're saying that, and I'm tearing up because I'm thinking about my baby who was always there for me. So definitely something that we can all relate to. Well, Tricia, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your journey and honoring us with your thoughts and your inspiration and your knowledge today. This has been incredible, and I know it's going to help so many people around the world. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a beautiful show. You're a beautiful woman. And I just appreciate your really generous heart for helping people heal.
Oh, thank you. That is our goal, is to help empower as many people as we can around the world. And you are definitely helping us do that today. So thank you. Will you share with our amazing family around the world, where can they best reach you, contact you?
So healyourhunger.com, my website, is a great place to go to take the quiz, to access my podcast. Actually, you can do that, or through iTunes, of course. Amazon actually has my podcast as well. My book's on Amazon, Heal Your Hunger, 7 Simple Steps to End Emotional Eating Now. And I'm also on Instagram at Tricia Nelson _.
That's wonderful. Do you have any last parting words for our listeners around the world?
Yeah. Like if you're struggling with food and weight, just try to remember it's not about the food. 95% of all diets fail. Let's go deeper. Let's address what it really is about so you can heal and be free.
Yes, let's do that. Well, thank you again. And as always, all of the information about Tricia Nelson will be in the show notes. So head over to jenniferpilates.com. And as we say, until next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.